She hit the door so hard the frame shook loose. By the second knock, the baby was crying. By the third, the door opened. The cowboy stood there with a rifle half lifted, eyes narrow, face stiff like he had already decided he hated whatever stood outside. He was broad through the shoulders, older than he first looked, with a tired face and rough hands that looked built for breaking wood, not opening doors in the middle of the night. The woman nearly fell into him. He stepped back fast. Not from her. From the bundle in her arms. "No," he said. She blinked, confused, breathing hard. "What?" "No." The baby cried louder. The woman looked down at the child, then back at him. Dirt covered her dress. One sleeve was torn open. Her lip was split. She looked like she had walked for miles without remembering how. "She needs warmth." "No." "She's cold." "Then go somewhere else." "There is nowhere else." He kept the rifle in one hand and pointed toward the dark with the other. "Out." The woman stared at him like she had reached the edge of something she could not cross. "You don't understand." "I understand enough." "You haven't heard me." "I don't need to." The baby let out a sharp cry that cut through the silence like metal scraping stone. His jaw tightened. Something moved behind his eyes. Small. Fast. Hidden. The woman saw it. She stepped forward. He raised the rifle slightly. "Don't. I'm not here to hurt you. Everybody says that first." Her arms trembled. The baby shifted under the blanket. "She hasn't eaten." He said nothing. "She won't make it outside." Still nothing. "You can hate me later." "I already do." She almost laughed at that, but it came out broken. "I walked half the night." "Should have kept walking." Her face changed then. Not anger. Not shock. Just tiredness so deep it looked older than her. "You're him, aren't you?" His expression hardened. "I don't know what you're talking about." The man people said still had a conscience. "You heard wrong." The baby cried again, louder this time, face turning red. He looked away. That was the first crack. Not much. Just enough. The woman saw it too. Without asking permission, she stepped over the threshold. His body went rigid. "I set out." "And I said she's freezing." She brushed past him and stumbled toward the kitchen table. A lantern burned low near the wall, throwing weak yellow light across rough wood and old dust. She placed the baby carefully onto the table like setting down something sacred. Then her knees buckled. She caught herself on the chair. The cowboy shut the door hard enough to rattle the glass. "You don't listen." "No. You don't belong here." "Neither do you, from what I hear." He turned slowly. She regretted it the second the words left her mouth. But she was too tired to take them back. He leaned the rifle against the wall and folded his arms. "You got 5 minutes." "For what?" "To explain why you brought a baby to my door." "She wasn't supposed to come here." "That's obvious." "I had no choice." "Everybody has a choice." "Not where I come from." The crying filled the room again. He flinched. A tiny movement. Barely visible. Still there. The woman noticed everything. "You hate babies?" "No." "You're acting like one bit you." He stared at the blanket. Something colder entered the room. Not weather. Memory. "You should pick her up," the woman said quietly. "No. She needs holding. She has you." "Not for long if I pass out." He looked at her properly for the first time. Her skin had gone pale. Sweat clung to her forehead. Blood stained one side of her waist. "You're hurt." "I know." "How bad?" "Bad enough." "You should have led with that." You seemed distracted. He almost smiled. Almost. The baby let out a softer cry now. Not sharp anymore. Just tired. Hungry. Lonely. Human. The woman pulled out a chair and lowered herself slowly. You know who's looking for us? I don't care. You should. I don't. They'll come here. His eyes lifted. That got him. Who? She swallowed hard. Men with badges. Silence. Real silence. Heavy. The kind that changes shape. He stared at her for a long moment, then at the child. The crying slowed. The lantern flickered. He rubbed one hand across his face like he was trying to erase something. You brought trouble. Yes. You brought it here. Yes. You're either stupid or desperate. She looked at the baby. Only one of those. He exhaled sharply and moved toward the stove. Not toward the child. Not yet. But closer than before. He threw wood into the firebox and struck a match. The flame caught. Warmth slowly spread through the room. The woman watched him without speaking. You still haven't touched her, she said. I noticed. The baby cried once more. Short. Weak. He stood still beside the growing fire, jaw clenched, hands at his sides. Like a man standing inches from something he feared more than a gun. Outside, somewhere far off, a horse whinnied in the dark. Then another. The woman closed her eyes. They found us. The baby cried like something was breaking inside the house. Not loud at first. Then louder. Then it filled every corner until even the wood seemed to vibrate with it. The cowboy stood near the stove, hands tight at his sides, staring into the fire like it might answer for him. The woman sat half-slumped in the chair, holding herself together with one arm across her stomach. Pick her up, the woman whispered. No, he said without turning. She's not going to stop. Let her. That's not how babies work. He finally looked at her. Then teach me. The baby's face turned red. Her tiny fists curled and uncurled under the blanket. The woman tried to lift her, but her arms gave out halfway. Damn it, she breathed. The cowboy moved fast before he could stop himself. One step. Then another. Then he froze again like something inside him grabbed his ribs and pulled him back. You said no touching, he said. I said she needs help. I'm not help. You're the only one here. Silence hit again, but the crying filled it instantly. Outside, wind scraped across the roof. Something metallic clinked far away. Horses. Or maybe memory pretending to be sound. The cowboy turned away sharply and grabbed the whiskey bottle from the table. Don't, the woman said. I didn't ask. He drank. The baby screamed louder. Stop drinking, she snapped. Stop bringing trouble to my door. She didn't choose this. Neither did I. That line hung in the room longer than the crying. The woman stared at him. You act like you've never held anything that mattered, she said. He didn't answer. Because something in him did remember. Not words. Not faces. Just weight. Small weight. Warm weight. Then nothing. The whiskey bottle hit the table harder than he meant it to. Keep her quiet, he said. I can't, the woman said. She's hungry. Then feed her. I don't have anything. The cowboy laughed once, sharp and empty. Of course you don't. The baby's cry changed. It wasn't just pain anymore. It was exhaustion. Like she was losing the strength to stay alive and sound. The woman leaned forward, whispering to her. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. The cowboy watched without moving. The fire cracked. Then a knock hit the door. Once. Hard. Everything stopped except the baby, who still cried softer now, like she was confused why the world had gone silent. The cowboy grabbed his rifle instantly. The woman stiffened. No. Another knock. Then a voice. Open up. The cowboy didn't move. The woman whispered, "That's him." Who? The sheriff. The cowboy's jaw tightened. He didn't open the door. The knock came again, slower this time. "I know someone came in there," the sheriff called. The baby made a weak sound, almost a whimper now. The cowboy leaned closer to the woman. "You bring Law to my door, you better have a reason." "I didn't bring him," she said quickly. "He tracks me." "Why?" She hesitated. That hesitation said everything. The sheriff knocked again, harder. "Last warning." The cowboy looked at the door, then at the woman, then at the baby. "Don't move," he said. He walked to the door. Unlocked it. Opened it halfway. Cold air rushed in. The sheriff stood there, coat soaked with night moisture, hat low over his eyes. His hand rested near his belt but not on his weapon yet. He looked past the cowboy immediately. He saw the woman. Then the baby. His expression changed slightly. Not surprise. Recognition. "You brought her here," the sheriff said. The cowboy's grip tightened on the door. "She brought herself." The sheriff stepped forward anyway. "I need to talk to her." "Not inside." The sheriff finally looked at him directly. "You don't understand what you just opened." The baby let out a small cry behind them. The sheriff flinched at the sound. "That child," he said slowly, "changes everything in this county." The woman spoke from the table. "I didn't have anywhere else." The sheriff nodded like he expected that answer. "You never do," he said. The cowboy turned slightly. "Explain." The sheriff didn't answer immediately. He looked at the baby again. Then lowered his voice. "Who else knows she's here?" The cowboy answered flatly. "No one." The sheriff shook his head. "That's not true anymore." The wind outside grew louder. Like something moving closer through the dark. The sheriff stepped back from the door. "You should have kept walking," he said to the woman. She whispered, "I tried." The sheriff looked at the cowboy now. "This house is marked," he said. The cowboy's eyes narrowed. "By who?" The sheriff didn't answer that. Instead, he said something worse. "They're already coming." The sheriff didn't leave. He stood just inside the doorway like the house itself had started pulling him in. "Close it," the cowboy said. The sheriff didn't move. "Close the damn door," the cowboy repeated, sharper now. The sheriff slowly turned his head. Looked at the baby again. "She's still crying," he said quietly. The woman answered from the table, voice weak. "She won't stop." The sheriff nodded like that confirmed something he already knew. "It's her," he said. The cowboy stepped forward. "Explain." The sheriff finally shut the door behind him. The sound was heavy, like sealing something inside. "You shouldn't have brought her here," he said again. "I didn't bring her for comfort," the woman whispered. "I brought her to survive." The sheriff looked at her now, properly. "You're bleeding more than you think." "I know." "You won't last the night." "I know that too." The baby let out a smaller cry, like she was tiring herself out. The cowboy moved closer to the table without realizing it. "Still not touching." "Just closer." "What is this?" he asked. The sheriff hesitated. Then said, "That child belongs to the Hollow family." The room changed instantly. Even the fire seemed to hesitate. The cowboy's jaw tightened. "Say that again." "The Hollow family," the sheriff repeated. The woman closed her eyes. The cowboy stepped back like the name itself had weight. "That's not possible," he said. "It is," the sheriff answered. The baby shifted under the blanket. The cowboy shook his head slowly. "They don't have children." The sheriff gave a thin, tired look. "They do when they want leverage." The woman spoke quietly. "Her father is dead." The sheriff nodded once. "Yes." The cowboy turned sharply. "You knew this?" The sheriff didn't answer right away. That silence was enough. "You knew," the cowboy said again. "I suspected," the sheriff replied. "Now I'm sure." The baby cried again, weaker now. The cowboy stared at her like she had become something else. Not a child anymore. A trigger. A problem with a heartbeat. "Why here?" he asked. "Why my door?" The sheriff looked around the room. Then said, "Because this is the only place they wouldn't expect her to be held alive." The woman laughed once, bitter and broken. "Held." The sheriff ignored that. "They're already moving," he said. "They'll sweep every road between here and the river by morning." The cowboy's voice dropped. "How many?" The sheriff answered without hesitation. "Enough to burn this house down twice." The fire cracked loudly at that moment. Too loud. Like it understood. The cowboy walked to the window, pulled the curtain slightly. Darkness outside. Too still. Then something moved far off. A horse shifting. Or a man. Or both. He let the curtain fall. "She's just a baby," the woman whispered. The sheriff looked at her. "That's not what they see." The baby made a small sound, almost like a hiccup now. The cowboy finally did it. He stepped closer to the table. Slow. Careful. Like approaching something dangerous. The woman watched him. The sheriff watched him too. "You don't have to do this," the woman said. He didn't respond. His eyes stayed on the child. Something inside him was breaking open again. Not fast. Not loud. Slow. Like rust giving way. The sheriff spoke quietly. "If you hold her, you won't be able to give her up." The cowboy didn't answer. The woman shook her head. "Don't listen to him." But her voice wasn't strong enough to matter. The cowboy reached out. Stopped halfway. His hand hovered over the blanket. The baby turned her face slightly toward him. The crying softened again. The room held its breath. "Don't," the sheriff said again, softer now. The cowboy's voice came out rough. "Why does she stop crying when I get close?" The sheriff didn't answer immediately. Then said, "Because she recognizes something." The cowboy looked at him sharply. "What?" The sheriff's eyes darkened. "Loss." That word hit harder than the others. The woman lowered her head. The cowboy froze. His hand still in the air. Then, slowly, he placed it on the edge of the blanket. The baby didn't cry. She didn't move away. She leaned into the warmth. The cowboy's breath caught slightly. Like he hadn't expected that reaction. The sheriff watched carefully. "She's not safe here," he said. "I know," the cowboy replied quietly. The woman looked up. "Then help us leave." The sheriff shook his head. "It's too late for leaving." The cowboy looked down at the baby. Then finally lifted her. Careful. Awkward. Like he was holding something fragile that could shatter or heal him. The baby made a soft sound. Not crying now. Just sound. Alive. The sheriff exhaled slowly. "That's the problem," he said. The cowboy didn't look up. "What problem?" The sheriff answered, voice low. "Now they'll know she's bonded." The cowboy didn't put the baby down. Not once. Even when the sheriff left, even when the wind outside started scratching at the walls again, even when the woman fell back into the chair like her body had finally stopped negotiating with survival. He just stood there holding her. Like his arms had decided before his mind did. The baby made small sounds now. Not crying. Not silence either. Something in between, like she was testing whether the world would stay safe. The woman watched him through half-closed eyes. "You're still holding her," she whispered. "I noticed," he said. "That's not like you. You don't know what's like me." She almost smiled at that. Almost. The cowboy shifted his grip slightly, awkward but careful. The baby didn't protest. Outside, something moved again. Closer this time. Hooves. Not rushing. Waiting. The sheriff's words hung in the room like smoke that wouldn't clear. "They're already coming." The woman sat up a little. "You heard them too?" she asked. "I hear everything tonight," he replied. A pause. Then, "You should have told me sooner," he said without looking at her. "I didn't think you'd open the door. I didn't think I would either." That honesty landed heavier than anything else in the room. The baby let out a soft noise. The cowboy instinctively adjusted her closer to his chest. The woman noticed. "Give her to me if you want," she said gently. He didn't move. "I said if you want." He shook his head slightly. "She's quiet now." "That's because she's warm." "I'm not warm." "Doesn't matter." "She thinks you are." The words made something flicker in him again. He didn't respond. Instead, he looked down at the blanket. Something about it felt wrong. Not the fabric. The stitching. He frowned. "What is this?" he asked. The woman lifted her head slightly. "What?" "This line here." He pointed carefully with one finger, not touching the baby more than necessary. A thin seam ran along the inside edge of the blanket. Not repair work. Intentional stitching. The woman leaned forward. "I didn't notice that." The cowboy slowly walked closer to the firelight. The baby shifted slightly in his arms. He turned the blanket just enough to see the inner seam fully. Letters. Embroidered. Hidden inside the fold. The woman's voice dropped. "No." The cowboy's jaw tightened. He traced the edge without touching the stitches directly. A name was there. Not written in ink. Sewn. Like something meant to survive fire. The sheriff's voice echoed in his memory. "Hollow family." The cowboy's grip tightened slightly. The baby made a small sound but didn't cry. The woman stood up fast, ignoring the pain in her body. "Let me see," she said. He didn't hand her the child. Instead, he tilted the blanket toward her. Her eyes landed on the stitched name. Her breath stopped. "No," she whispered. The cowboy looked at her. "You know it." She shook her head like denial could erase fabric. "That's not possible." "Answer me." Her lips trembled. "It's his," she said finally. The room went colder. The fire still burned, but it felt further away. The cowboy's voice dropped. "Whose?" She hesitated. "Then." "The man they killed last winter." The cowboy didn't react immediately. But something in his face went still. Too still. "Say it," he said. The woman swallowed hard. "The governor's son." Silence hit like a strike. Even the baby stopped moving for a moment. The cowboy blinked once. Then again. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "this child is tied to him." The woman nodded once. The sheriff's words now made a different shape in the air. "Leverage. Bonded. Marked." The cowboy looked down at the baby. Not with fear. Not yet. with calculation trying and failing to become emotion. The woman stepped closer, voice shaking. They didn't want her alive, she said. They wanted her gone. Who? She hesitated again. Everyone who benefits from him being dead. The cowboy exhaled sharply through his nose. So she's a mistake. The woman shook her head quickly. She's proof. The word landed harder than all the others. Proof. The baby made a small sound again, softer now, like she was tired of being the center of every storm. The cowboy's arms tightened instinctively. Not protective. Reflexive. Like letting go would be worse than holding on. Outside, the wind shifted again. Closer. The woman looked toward the door. They're here, she whispered. The cowboy didn't move his eyes from the child. I know. The baby turned her face slightly into his chest. Settling. The cowboy finally spoke again, quieter than before. They're not getting her. The woman looked at him. You don't understand what that means. I understand enough. That's not the same thing. He finally looked up. And for the first time since she arrived, there was something solid in his eyes. Not refusal. Not fear. Choice. I said, he repeated, they're not getting her. A knock hit the outer fence line in the distance. Then another. The woman whispered, that's too many. The cowboy shifted the baby slightly higher in his arms. Then we stopped counting, he said. And the night outside started moving closer. The first bullet didn't come from outside. It came from the door. Wood cracked like bones snapping under pressure. The cowboy moved instantly, dropping low with the baby still pressed against his chest. The woman stumbled backward from the table, grabbing the edge to stay upright. Down, the cowboy barked. I can't, she started. The second hit shook the frame. Dust fell from the ceiling like ash. The baby made a small startled sound but didn't cry fully. Not yet. The sheriff wasn't there anymore. This was not the sheriff's warning. This was something heavier. The cowboy moved fast now, no hesitation left. He crossed to the window, peeked out for half a second. Then pulled back. Too many, he said. The woman whispered, how many? Enough. Another strike hit the door. Splinters flew inside. The cowboy turned to her. Can you walk? She hesitated. He grabbed her arm once. Answer me. Yes, she said through clenched teeth. Good. Basement. There is no basement. There is always a basement. He was already moving, scanning the floor. The baby shifted slightly against him, making a soft sound. The woman followed him toward the back corner. Another hit. Then a voice outside. Open it. Not the sheriff. Different. Flat. Commanding. The cowboy didn't answer. He lifted a loose wooden plank near the stove. It resisted, then gave way with a sharp creak. Cold air rose from below. The woman stared. You knew about this? Not now, he said. Move. A third impact shook the entire frame. The baby finally cried. Sharp. The cowboy tightened his grip instinctively. Shoo, he whispered, not to the room, but to her. The woman lowered herself into the opening first, wincing as pain shot through her body. The cowboy followed, holding the baby carefully against his chest as he dropped into darkness. Below, it smelled old. Dirt. Wood rot. Forgotten time. Above them, the door finally broke. Footsteps entered the house. Slow. Controlled. Not rushing. That was worse. The cowboy pressed the woman forward through the narrow space. Keep moving, he said. Where does this go? She asked. It goes away. From what? From them. The baby made another small sound. The tunnel was tight. Dirt scraped their shoulders. The cowboy kept one arm braced above the baby's head, protecting her instinctively from low beams. Behind them, voices echoed faintly from above. "They're not here. Check everything." The woman stopped suddenly. The cowboy bumped into her. "Don't stop." She pointed forward. "Light. Faint. A second exit." The cowboy nodded once. "Keep going." They crawled faster now. The sound of searching above grew louder. Furniture shifting. Wood breaking. Someone kicking over what was left of their home. The woman whispered, "They're burning it." The cowboy didn't answer immediately. Then, "Let them." They reached the exit tunnel. A wooden hatch hidden under brush outside the main structure. The cowboy pushed it slightly. Cold night air slipped in. He paused. Listened. Silence outside. Too clean. He lifted the hatch slowly. Nothing. He climbed out first, scanning the dark. Then helped the woman out. She collapsed onto the ground immediately, coughing. The baby whimpered softly. The cowboy stayed low, eyes moving across the field. The house behind them glowed faintly now. Smoke rising. Orange flicker through broken windows. They lit it, the woman whispered. "Yeah," he said. The baby squirmed slightly. The cowboy looked down at her. Still holding her. Still not letting go. "You should give her to me now," the woman said weakly. He didn't respond. "You can't run like that," she added. "I can run like this," he said. A pause. Then distant movement in the trees. The cowboy noticed instantly. "Get up," he said. The woman struggled to her feet. "They're circling," he said. "How do you know?" "I know patterns." A whistle cut through the air from somewhere unseen. The woman froze. "That's them," she said. The cowboy adjusted his grip on the baby. "Stay behind me." "I can walk," she insisted. "You can barely stand." "I said I can." A shot cracked in the distance. Not near. Warning. The cowboy didn't flinch. But his voice dropped lower. Move. They ran. Not fast. Not clean. Just enough. Through tall grass, toward the edge of the property line where trees swallowed the light. Behind them, the house fully ignited. Flames climbed like something alive waking up. The woman looked back once. "Everything I had," she whispered. The cowboy didn't slow. "You didn't have anything," he said. She looked at him sharply. "That's not true." He kept moving. "It is now." Another whistle. Closer this time. The baby made a soft sound against his chest. The cowboy finally looked down at her. "You still here?" he murmured. As if she could answer. As if it mattered. Behind them, the burning house cracked loudly. A final collapse. Like the land itself had swallowed it. And in the firelight behind them, shadows began to move. They didn't stop running when the house fell. They ran until the burning light behind them turned small enough to lie about distance. The cowboy slowed first, not from fear, but from listening. The baby was still in his arms. Still alive. Still quiet now. Too quiet. The woman bent over, hands on her knees, coughing hard. "They're gone," she gasped. "No," he said. That single word erased her relief immediately. "Then why did we stop?" "Because running blind gets you killed faster." He looked around the dark tree line. No firelight here. No sound. Just pressure in the air. Like the land itself was holding its breath. The baby shifted slightly. The cowboy adjusted his grip instantly. The woman noticed that instinct. "You're holding her like she's yours," she said. He didn't answer. Because he hadn't admitted it yet. Not even to himself. A distant crack echoed behind them. The fire settling. Or something else collapsing. The woman whispered, "Where do we go now?" The cowboy nodded toward the trees. Down. They moved again. Slower this time. Careful. The ground dipped into a shallow slope hidden by brush. A narrow opening sat there, half covered in dirt and old wood. The woman frowned. "What is that?" The cowboy didn't hesitate. "Old root cellar." "Whose?" "Doesn't matter anymore." He crouched first, pushing the hatch open. Cold air rose up from below. It smelled different. Not fire. Not smoke. Old wood. Dust. Time. The woman hesitated. "You go first," he said. She stared at him. "You trust me that much?" "No," he said. "I trust what's behind us less." That made her move. She lowered herself into the dark carefully, wincing as her body hit the ladder. The cowboy followed with the baby held tight against his chest, one hand guiding the descent. Below, the cellar stretched wider than expected. Not just storage. Something more. Shelves lined the walls. Old crates. Dust-covered jars. And papers. Stacks of them. The woman stepped forward slowly. "What is this place?" The cowboy didn't answer immediately. His eyes were scanning everything. Like he already knew. Like he just didn't want to say it. The baby made a soft sound again. The first sound since the fire. The woman turned. "She's hungry again." "I know. You can't ignore that." "I'm not ignoring it." He walked toward one of the crates, set the baby down carefully on a folded cloth. Not letting go fully. Just enough. The woman watched him. "That's new," she said quietly. "What is?" You hesitated less. He didn't respond. Instead, he picked up one of the papers from the table. Dust scattered. The ink was faded, but still readable. Names. Dates. Transactions. The woman moved closer, squinting. "What are those?" He didn't answer. He picked up another. Then another. The pattern was clear. Land transfers. Deaths. Payments. The sheriff's voice echoed in memory again. "This is marked." The cowboy exhaled slowly. "It's all here," he said. The woman looked at him. "All what?" He held the paper out slightly. "Everything they buried." The woman took it with shaking hands. Her eyes scanned. Then stopped. Her breath caught. "Oh my God," she whispered. The cowboy watched her reaction carefully. "What is it?" She pointed at a line. "This is my family name." Silence. The baby made a soft noise again. The cowboy didn't move. The woman looked up at him. "They've been doing this for generations," she said. "Yeah," he replied. Her voice cracked. "You knew?" "I suspected." "You didn't tell me." "You were busy surviving." "That's not an excuse." He looked at her now. Cold. Direct. "No one survives down here by talking first." That shut her up. Not because it was harsh. Because it was true. The cellar creaked slightly above them. The woman froze. "Did you hear that?" The cowboy already had the rifle half raised. "Yes." Another sound. Footsteps. Not many. But close enough. The woman whispered, "They followed us." The cowboy didn't look away from the ceiling. "They never lost us." The baby stirred again, sensing tension. The cowboy shifted his body slightly, shielding her. The woman noticed. You're doing it again, she said. Doing what? Protecting her without thinking. He didn't deny it. That silence was answer enough. Above them, scraping sounds. Wood moving. Searching. The woman stepped closer to him instinctively. What do we do? The cowboy scanned the cellar. Then the papers. Then the walls. Then the exit behind them. Finally. We wait. For what? He looked down at the baby. For them to make a mistake. A loud thud hit the ground above. Dust fell through cracks. The woman whispered, "If they find us down here." "They won't," he cut in. "How do you know?" The cowboy finally met her eyes. "Because I've been in places like this before." But he didn't say it out loud. Instead, "Stay quiet." Another step above. Then another. The cellar went completely still. Even the baby seemed to sense it. No sound now. Not even breath. The cowboy tightened his hold slightly. Not fear. Preparation. Above them, the search continued. Slow. Systematic. Unfinished. And below, in the buried silence of the cellar, the truth they had just uncovered sat between them like something alive waiting to be seen. The cellar stayed quiet for a long time after the footsteps above moved away. Not gone. Just shifting. Searching somewhere else. The cowboy didn't relax. He never fully did anymore. The baby lay against his chest now, wrapped tighter than before. His arms had stopped feeling like resistance. They had started feeling like habit. The woman sat on the ground across from him, watching his face more than anything else. "You're still holding her," she said quietly. "I noticed," he replied. "That's not just protection anymore." He didn't answer. Above them, faint movement again. Then silence. Then nothing. The kind of nothing that never means peace. The woman leaned back against the stone wall. "I can't feel my legs," she said. "You're still alive," he answered. "That's not comfort." "No." The baby shifted slightly. The cowboy adjusted her instinctively. The woman noticed again. "You didn't used to react that fast," she said. "I used to have fewer reasons." A pause. Then a sound above them. A final scrape. Then footsteps moving away. The cowboy listened for a long time before speaking. They left. The woman didn't believe it immediately. "Are you sure?" "No," he said. "But they're not here right now." That was enough for her to exhale fully for the first time. The baby made a small sound, softer than before. The woman looked at her. "She's calming down," she said. The cowboy nodded once. "Yeah." A silence settled. Not empty. Just stretched thin. The woman watched him carefully. "You've been holding her since the fire," she said. "Yes." "Why?" He looked down at the baby. Didn't answer immediately. Because the truth wasn't clean enough to say out loud yet. Finally. "She stops crying," he said. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." The woman shifted closer slightly. "You lost someone," she said. His jaw tightened. Not denial. Reaction. "I don't talk about that." "I didn't ask you to talk," she said. "I asked you to stay honest." A pause. The baby made a soft sound, almost like breathing through sleep. The cowboy's voice dropped. "I had a daughter." The words came out like they had been waiting years to escape. The woman didn't interrupt. The cowboy kept looking at the baby. "She was smaller than this," he said. "Didn't cry much either." Silence. The woman's expression changed slightly. Softer now. "What happened?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer right away. Then. Same people. That was all. The woman looked down. The weight of that didn't need more explanation. The cellar suddenly felt colder. The cowboy adjusted his grip slightly again. Not tighter. Just closer. The woman noticed his hands shaking faintly. You're not shaking from fear, she said. No. Then what? He didn't answer. Because it was grief. But he wouldn't call it that. The baby shifted again, then let out a small, weak cry. The cowboy instinctively leaned forward. The woman spoke quickly. She's hungry. I know. She needs more than holding. I know that too. A pause. Then the cowboy looked at the woman. Can you feed her? The woman hesitated. Yes. The cowboy didn't move immediately. Then carefully, almost reluctantly, he handed the baby over. The moment she left his arms, something in his expression changed. Not relief. Not loss. Something in between. The woman took the baby gently, holding her close. She's lighter than she should be, she said. She hasn't had anything real, he replied. The baby quieted slightly in her arms, but not fully. The woman adjusted her position, pressing the child closer. The cowboy watched. Every movement. Every breath. Like he didn't trust distance anymore. The woman noticed. You're still guarding her even when she's not with you, she said. I'm guarding everything, he replied. That's not sustainable. Nothing here is. Silence again. Above them, no sound now. The house above the cellar was still. Too still. The woman lowered her voice. What happens when they come back? The cowboy answered without hesitation. They won't get close. That's not what I asked. He looked at her. Then at the baby. Then back. Then we move. The woman nodded slowly. And if we can't move? A pause. The cowboy's voice was low. Then we stand. The baby made a soft sound again, calmer now. The woman looked down at her. She's looking at you, she said. The cowboy didn't believe it at first. Then he leaned slightly forward. The baby's eyes were open. Not crying. Not scared. Just there. Watching. The cowboy froze. Something inside him tightened. Slow. Deep. Like a door he didn't know he still had just opened. She recognizes you, the woman said quietly. That's not possible. Isn't it? He didn't answer. The baby made a small sound again. Not distress. Just attention. The cowboy stared at her longer than he should have. Then finally. He whispered, almost without meaning to. Hey. The baby didn't move away. Didn't cry. Just stayed. The woman noticed everything. You've never spoken to her like that before, she said. I didn't plan to. But you did. He didn't deny it. The cellar felt smaller now. Not because it changed. Because something inside him did. Above them, somewhere far away, a faint noise echoed again. Not close. But not gone. The cowboy tightened his focus instantly. The woman noticed the shift immediately. They're coming back, she said. The cowboy didn't look away from the ceiling. No, he said slowly. Then what is it? A pause. Then. They never really left. The first sound wasn't a voice. It was wood shifting above them. The cowboy went still instantly. The baby was in the woman's arms now, quiet but alert, like she could feel the change in pressure. Don't move, the cowboy whispered. The woman nodded once, barely breathing. Above them, footsteps returned. Slower this time. Careful. Not searching randomly anymore. Targeted. The cowboy adjusted his position slightly, placing himself between the woman and the direction of the sound. The woman noticed but said nothing. Then, a voice above. Close. Check the floor. The woman's grip tightened around the baby. The baby made a small sound but didn't cry. The cowboy leaned forward slightly, eyes scanning the ceiling cracks. Dust fell again. Then silence. The footsteps shifted. Moving away. Not leaving. Circling. The woman whispered, "They know we're here." "Yeah," he said. A pause. Then another voice above. Different tone. Lower. "Don't damage the structure. We need them alive." That changed the air instantly. The woman's face tightened. "Alive," she repeated quietly. The cowboy nodded once. "That means leverage." The baby stirred again, sensing tension. The woman rocked her slightly. "Why alive?" she whispered. The cowboy didn't answer immediately. Then, "Because she matters." The woman looked at him sharply. "She's just a baby." "Not to them." Above, footsteps shifted again. Closer to a corner. A faint knock sounded somewhere above. Then another. Testing. Searching for hollow space. The cowboy moved silently toward the far wall, pressing his ear briefly against it. Listening. The woman watched him carefully. "You hear something?" she asked. "Not yet," he said. A pause. Then, a faint creak. The cowboy stepped back immediately. "They found the weak spot," he said. The woman's voice tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means they stop guessing soon." The baby made a small sound again. The woman held her tighter. The cowboy scanned the cellar quickly. Then the exit tunnel they used. Then the shelves. Then the ceiling again. Calculating. The woman spoke quickly now. "Tell me what to do." "Stay quiet." "That's it?" "That's the first rule." Above them, a louder thud. "Not searching anymore." "Breaking." The woman flinched. The cowboy didn't. Another sound followed. Wood cracking. The structure above them shifted slightly. Dust fell harder now. The baby whimpered softly. The cowboy moved closer to the woman and the child instinctively. Protective again. Not thinking. Just reacting. The woman looked at him. "You keep doing that," she whispered. "Doing what?" Moving toward her without deciding. He didn't answer. Because she was right. Above them, footsteps spread out. More people now. The cowboy listened carefully. 6, he said. The woman's eyes widened slightly. "You can count them?" "I can feel them." Another pause. Then, a voice above again. "Open the cellar or we start pulling the floor apart." The woman whispered, "They'll kill us anyway." The cowboy shook his head once. "No." "How do you know?" "Because they were told not to." That confused her. She looked at him. "Who told them?" The cowboy didn't answer. Because he didn't have the full answer yet. Only pieces. Above them, the breaking sound intensified. The structure groaned. The cowboy stepped closer to the hatch area. The woman followed, holding the baby tightly. "We can't fight 6, she said. "We don't need to," he replied. "What does that mean?" He looked at her now. Calm. Cold. Focused. "It means we don't stay where they expect." A sudden crash above them. The ceiling shook. Dirt rained down. The baby cried briefly this time. Short. Fearful. The woman tried to soothe her. The cowboy moved fast, lifting part of the cellar wall panel near the back. Hidden space. Smaller tunnel. The woman stared. Another one? He nodded. Always another one. Above them, shouting now. Move. They're under here. The cowboy grabbed the woman's arm once. Now. They moved fast into the second tunnel. The space was tighter. Lower. Forced crawling. The woman held the baby close, covering her head instinctively. The cowboy led. Behind them, the cellar above exploded with sound. Wood breaking. Anger. Discovery. The woman whispered, "They're inside now." "Let them be," the cowboy said. "Where are we going?" He didn't answer immediately. Then. Out the back edge. Then what? A pause. His voice lowered. Then we stop running blind. The tunnel opened slightly ahead. A faint line of light. The woman saw it. Exit? Maybe, he said. The baby made a small sound again, softer now. The cowboy didn't slow. Because behind them, the house above was no longer being searched. It was being taken apart. They didn't come out of the tunnel. They stepped into something worse. Cold air hit them first. Not fresh. Not clean. Just different from underground. The cowboy climbed out last, still holding the baby close. The woman followed, dragging herself into the night like her body had forgotten how to stand properly. Above them, the world was silent again. Too silent. The kind that follows violence, not before it. The woman looked around slowly. "This isn't the property line," she whispered. "No," the cowboy said. "Where are we?" He didn't answer immediately. Because he was already looking at it. The ground ahead dipped slightly, forming a wide hollow in the land. Trees surrounded it like they had grown in a circle on purpose. At the center. A well. Old. Stone. Collapsed in parts. Still standing like something refusing to die completely. The baby made a small sound against his chest.